When you're ready, let's meet in tabletop. Tuck the toes under and start to circle the hips around the heels, just beginning to stretch the feet. And if you feel sensitivity in your big toes especially, I feel like those joints can be sensitive. Without moving the toes, imagine you're trying to point them. And so you'll start to feel a pressure building against between the toes and the floor, and that will actually activate the muscles in the transverse arch of the foot and hopefully provide some more support for that joint. Start to circle in the opposite direction. And then come back to center. Find equal weight in all 4 of your paws. And then find your neutral spine. So just like we did on the back, rock pelvis forward, rock pelvis back. You know you can't feel the feedback of the floor, so you actually have to drop into the sensation of the spine and try to notice, see if you can visualize the shape of the spine. Let the movements get smaller and smaller. And try to find the place where there's that brightness of the deep, low abdominals, gently lifting the front of the pelvis so it's neutral and the spine is long. This was the moment where the back of the neck lengthened when you're on your back. Maintaining this neutral, start to play with the breath. So as you inhale, bring your awareness to the waistband of the pants. And imagine the waistband expanding in all directions. So that includes the sides and the back. And then slow down and start to regulate that expansion. And so there's still movement. You're still breathing into the belly, but you're controlling it with the strength of your core. And it should feel like there's a gentle pressure and support building. The next time you inhale, let's use that strength to glide the left foot back. And hopefully it feels pretty light and effortless because you've got that intra-abdominal pressure. Try it a couple of times. So exhale, bring the knee back in. And inhale, first find the pressure and then let the leg effortlessly float back. Take a couple on your own. The next time the leg floats back, shift the weight from shoulder to shoulder just to relax the wrists a little bit and make sure that you're getting springy in the elbows. Bring a little extra weight to the pinky side of the hands, just making sure there's no pressure in the hands that's uncomfortable for any of the knuckles. Tuck the left toes under and glide the right knee a few inches forward so it's forward of the hip. Flatten the right foot and push down into the right foot, and notice how the muscles in the right leg engage when you do that. Release and engage, and do that a couple of times and see if you can feel how that action unites into the core. You can even start to match it with the breath, noticing how that extra work of the core makes it a little easier to restrict the expansion as you inhale. The next time you create that pressure, push down so much with the right leg that the left leg floats. Prevent the pelvis from tipping forward and start to lift the left leg a couple of times to turn on the glutes. Nothing in the body should move except the left leg, and it's okay if it's very small. Small and steady is what we're going for here. Warmth should be building in the right leg. That's how you know you're doing it right. And we're going to do something really enjoyable for that right leg in one moment. So set the left toes down. Shift the weight into the left hand. Draw a big circle. Right hand comes forward, up, and back, starting to open up through the right side of the body. Pause at the top and try to notice how spiraling to the right is opening up that outer right hip. And then allow the circling of the hand to continue. Plant the right hand down and use your next inhale to glide the right leg back into an effortless plank. Try to feel how that intra-abdominal pressure can support you in this strengthening pose. And we'll do that one more time. So lower both knees into tabletop. Use your next inhale to glide the left foot back. And then glide the right knee forward just a little bit, push down into the right shin, and start to float the left leg, keeping the pelvis neutral. Take a couple of those pulses. And then bring the left toes down, shift the weight into the left side of the body, and then circle that satisfying opening to the right, nice and slow. And then start to visualize yourself in that plank, strong and light and fully supported as the right hand plants. Glide the right foot back. Keep the pelvis neutral and just notice how the breath interacts with the core and the rest of the pose. Lower the knees. Glide the left foot back, glide the right knee back. We're not going to do the whole sequence this time. Just bring the right knee behind the left, just like what we did on our backs before, so kind of like our eagle legs. And then lower onto the forearms, which should feel really nice, giving your wrists a break here. Start to circle the hips. Be really gentle so that the knees are happy here, but try to massage out the hips as well as the shoulders as you make some gentle circles. And then uncross the leg, press the hips to the heels, melt the forehead, palms face up. Bring the thighs together. Notice how that restricts the expansion of the belly. And take a few breaths here to just play with noticing that slow and steady expansion on the inhale and how your core can actually help you breathe more smoothly. You might feel the breath slowing down. And something I really love about building intra-abdominal pressure is I can notice how superficial muscles can relax. So you might notice the neck and shoulders softening or anywhere that you hold tension. And push down into the shins. Notice what that does for the rest of the body and slowly start to stack one vertebra at a time, coming all the way up to a high kneel. Give yourself a big hug with the right arm on top. And then notice the sensation of the shoulder girdle landing on the rib cage. So try to relax the arms. Make sure the neck and shoulders feel spacious, so you can even wiggle a little bit. Sometimes when we give ourselves a hug here, the shoulders rise up, so try to resist that and find a little more space. And then let's do a little test. From here, start to bring I'll turn so you can see me, the backs of the forearms together, and notice if that rising up starts to happen through the shoulders. And if it does happen, go back to the hug. Right? But if it feels good, you can keep backs of hands together or bring the palms together for our eagle arms. So we've got 3 different options, and just make sure that the shoulders are on the rib cage for whatever option you've chosen. From here, bring the hips back down and start to make some big circles, rotating the weight around the pelvis. So let the pelvis tilt to the right and then back and then left and then forward. And I was going to do the other side after the second side of the sequence, but that seems mean to make you wait that long, so we can do the other side now. Let's float up to the high kneel. Give yourself a hug with the opposite arm on top, and then same idea, let the shoulders land on the rib cage, let yourself relax. Stay right there or play with bringing the backs of the forearms together, and then notice if there's that tendency for the shoulders to hike up. If there is, go back to the hug. If there's not, you can play with backs of hands together or palms together. And then bring the hips back down, and whatever your arm orientation is, start to gently circle the weight around on the pelvis and try going the opposite direction that you did before. And if you can't remember, it's the opposite of whatever you just naturally started doing without thinking about it. And you can start to get a little dramatic here as the pelvis rotates. If you want to allow the spine to follow, that's absolutely fine. So you get a little side bend, a little forward fold, a little back bend. Keep the arms pretty relaxed here. We don't want to create any tension in the shoulders. And then float up to a high kneel. Relax the arms down and just pause for one moment here, giving your hips some space, giving your shoulders some space before we return to tabletop. You can explore the dance between the breath and the core with that gentle control. And then make your way back down to tabletop. And now we'll neutralize the pelvis once again. Find your inhale, building that pressure, and then start to glide the right foot back. Bring the right knee in, and then use your next inhale once again to glide the right foot back. This time, slide the left knee forward, push down into the left shin. You should feel the left leg working a lot to support you here, and then slowly lift the right leg, making sure the pelvis doesn't tip. You shouldn't feel anything in your low back here. It should all be in the glutes. Take a couple of pulses with the right leg. It doesn't have to lift high. And then set the right toes down, tuck the right toes under, shift the weight into the right hand, big circle, left hand forward, up and back. Pause at the top, breathing into the left side. Push down into the left shin a little extra and see if that helps you feel more united through that spiral line. And then complete the circle back and down as the left hand plants. Glide the left foot back. Take your inhale to feel really strong and pressurized in plank. And then we'll repeat that. So drop the knees, walk them in a little so you're in an even tabletop. Use your next inhale to glide the right foot back and take your pulses without tipping the pelvis. Bring the toes down, shift the weight to the right, big circle with the left arm. Connect with your breath flow, let it be even and steady. And then go right into that weightless plank. If you want to hold the plank a little longer, you're welcome to, but you don't have to. You can always lower the knees back to table. And then let's all lower the knees. We'll start that sequence, but we'll take it into our counter pose. So glide the right leg back, glide the left knee forward, push down into the left knee, feel the strength in the left leg, but then tuck the right knee behind the left, crossing the legs, lower onto the forearms and start to roll the hips around so you get that nice massage, opening up the outside of the left hip. Let this also be a massage for the shoulders. Stay connected to the breath. Check in. Are you still able to breathe through the nose? And then come up to table, uncross the legs, and squeeze the thighs together as you press the hips back, melting into Bhaktasana with that little pressurized system between the thighs and the belly, and bring extra attention to the low back and allowing that space to open with the breath. And then feel that sense of slowing down the three-dimensional expansion as you inhale. Notice how the core can brighten and the breath can deepen. The diaphragm actually gets stronger, which makes breathing more effortless.